I was invited to my brother's engagement party, but my aunt whispered, "He only invited you out of pity." No seat, no name card, no one spoke to me. I quietly left, and the next morning, my brother showed up saying, "You didn't have to make a scene." Hey, I'm Jordan. I'm 28 and single, and I've always been kind of the odd one out in my family. Not because I did anything wrong, but just because I didn't fit into their expectations. Like, my cousin Rachel went to med school and my brother Nathan joined the family business, but that just wasn't me. I decided to leave town, do my own thing, and now I freelance write, travel a bit, and mostly keep to myself. I never really thought much about being part of the family picture anymore, but when I got this fancy invitation in the mail for Nathan's engagement party to his girlfriend Ashley, it stirred something in me. Nathan and I haven't talked much lately, just the occasional happy birthday or how's work texts. So seeing an actual invite felt like maybe things were changing, like maybe he wanted to reconnect. The party was at this vineyard, so I spent longer than I'd like to admit picking out a nice outfit, navy blazer, white shirt, slacks. I even bought a nice Dutch oven from their registry as a gift. When I got there, the place looked straight out of a movie with the sun setting over the vineyard. I imagined a warm welcome from Nathan, maybe a hug, and feeling like I belonged. But the second I stepped inside, my aunt told me Nathan only invited me because Ashley insisted, to avoid it being too obvious. Ouch, right? I was holding the gift, feeling like a fool, while everyone else had a seat at a beautifully set table. My name was nowhere to be found, and nobody noticed me, not even Nathan. So, I left quietly, with the gift still in my hands, and drove home, feeling kind of crushed. The next morning, Nathan showed up at my door, looking like he hadn't slept. He accused me of making a scene for leaving the party. I told him there was no seat for me, no hello, nothing. He awkwardly admitted it was Ashley who handled the seating arrangements. So yeah, I guess my instincts were right, a reminder that sometimes family can be complicated. I really didn't expect you to make a fuss over this. You know, being invited out of pity kind of stings. I said it softly, just trying to get my head around what Aunt Linda told me. He let out this big sigh, rubbed his face, and was like, "She's got a big mouth. That wasn't meant for you to hear." Just then, I felt a wave of exhaustion hit me, and I took a step back from the door. "You should go, Jordan," I said, trying to sound firm. "Seriously, if you think I'm going to say sorry for making you uncomfortable, think again." He looked genuinely hurt, like he didn't see this coming, as if I was the one turning my back, not him. "This is why we barely talk," he muttered. And I shot back, probably more ice cold than I wanted, "No, we don't talk because you only remember I'm around when it suits you, when you want to play the good sibling card, inviting everyone so nobody can say you left me out." He just stood there for a second, silent, then turned around and walked to his car, leaving me standing there watching him drive off. As his car disappeared, I glanced at the kitchen table. There sat the engagement gift, still wrapped in its shiny paper, unopened. I didn't have a clue what to do with it now. Should I give it to someone else? Return it? Maybe just dump it on his doorstep? That whole moment left a mark on me. It wasn't just Aunt Linda's little slip or the missing name card, it was Nathan's shocked face when I refused to just play nice, to be the invisible sibling who should just be thankful to be around, even if there's no room at the table for me. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. Because if I'm not in the family, I don't owe them anything. And guess what? I had something they'd forgotten about, a little detail they were going to need real soon. So I went off the grid for a few days. No texts, no social media, just totally unplugged. It wasn't out of spite, I needed to clear my head, let the hurt fade, so I could breathe without bitterness. But while I was quiet, I was also reflecting. See, what most of my family doesn't know, because they never asked, is that for the past 3 years, I've been working behind the scenes on something big. I'm one of the trustees on Grandpa Thomas's estate. When Grandpa was still around, he quietly made me a trustee, didn't make it a big dinner announcement or anything. One afternoon in Vermont, he just told me, "You've got a good head, Jordan, and a quiet heart. I want you to make sure the money doesn't mess up the family." At first, I didn't get it, thought he was just going on about taxes. Then came the documents, the lawyers, the meetings. I learned quick. The trust isn't just a bundle of cash to toss around, it has rules, strings attached. A bunch of it goes for things like school support, helping with mortgages, even business loans, but only with trustee approval. So, 2 years ago, Nathan got a chunk of money for his business, the consulting gig he loves to boast about. He didn't know I was part of that decision. Grandpa wanted to keep that under wraps, said it would be better. But now? I'm thinking that promise has run its course. A week after the party, I got an email from the firm handling the trust. Nathan's asking for more money, a lot more. He wants to expand his business, lease a new office, hire an assistant. He's saying it's time sensitive, the deal might fall through. Usually, I just approve it and let the cash flow. But this time, I hit reply and asked for a sit down. We met at this little cafe downtown. I picked it on purpose. It was neutral ground, quiet, and not far from his office. Nathan showed up late in his sharp suit but didn't have his usual swagger. He seemed tense, kept checking his watch, tapping the table. "Thanks for meeting," he said, diving right in as he sat. "This is about the request, right?" I nodded, sipping my coffee. "Yeah, it is." He leaned in, eager. "So, can we get this moving? The firm usually takes forever, but I need this quick." I studied him for a moment and then asked, "Did you know I'm one of the trustees?" His eyebrows shot up. "What?" I explained, "I've been a trustee for Grandpa's estate since he passed. I've been seeing every request, every report, every loan." He went quiet, his face went from pale to flushed. "Seriously? Seriously?" He blew out a breath, still trying to wrap his head around it. "Okay, that's unexpected, but..." "All right, so here's the deal, you've seen the numbers, and sure, it looks like a solid investment." I leaned back in my chair, feeling a bit skeptical. "Maybe," I said, "but Nathan, let's be real here. These funds aren't a sure thing. They're built on values that Grandpa always emphasized: family unity, responsibility, and transparency." Nathan was starting to get annoyed. "Come on, Jordan, don't make it personal. This is business." But I couldn't help it. "You made it personal," I shot back in a steady voice. "Remember that party? The way you treated me, how your fiancé screwed up the seating chart, and you couldn't even look me in the eye." He was about to defend himself, but I cut him off. "And then you show up at my place, trying to guilt trip me, saying I made a scene. No way." I just walked away quietly. Could have been a lot worse. Nathan leaned forward, speaking in a lower tone, like he was trying to keep it together. "So, what, this is revenge?" he asked. I kept calm. "No, this is accountability." He looked like he wanted to flip the table, but we were in public, and Nathan's image was everything to him. So he sat back, forced a smile, and said, "Look, I'll talk to Ashley. We'll smooth things over. I'll apologize if that's what you want." "That's not what I want," I said. "I just want you to treat the people behind this trust with respect if it's going to support you again." Nathan's jaw clenched. "So you're holding the funds hostage until I play nice?" "You can call it that," I replied. "I call it protecting Grandpa's legacy." He nearly knocked over his chair standing up. "You were unbelievable." And with a soft voice, I added, "And you should be more careful about how you treat people like they don't matter." He stormed out, and I finished my coffee. Later that week, I sent a report to the firm, listing my concerns about his request: questionable expenses, unclear return on investment, and a lack of transparency in previous funding reports. I didn't shut it down completely but suggested a delay, an audit, and a deeper review, meaning those funds weren't getting approved anytime soon. 2 days later, I got a call. "Mom," she said sharply. "What are you doing?" "Hi, Mom, nice to hear from you too." I replied, trying to keep it light. "Don't play games. Nathan told me you're blocking the trust funds. He needs that money." I looked out the window, watching the rain tap against the glass. "So now you call?" "You've always been so sensitive," she said, like that explained everything. "You didn't even give them a chance at the party. You just left. You embarrassed us." "I embarrassed you?" I echoed. "By not sitting at a table that didn't exist for me?" "You should have spoken up," she snapped. "Made it work. That's what family does." I laughed, and it sounded cold, even to me. "No, Mom. What family does is make room. What family does is notice when someone's being excluded. What family does is care. You all made it very clear where I stand." Silence. Then, "So this is payback?" "No," I said. "This is me setting a boundary. And if you don't like it, maybe ask yourself why." I hung up before she could say anything else, but I knew that call was just the start. Once the money stopped, all the folks who never spoke to me were going to start showing up, and not for the reasons they claimed. Sure enough, in less than 48 hours, my phone started blowing up with missed calls, voicemails, and texts. First polite requests like, "Hey, Jordan, can we talk?" Then shifting to guilt trips. It was Nathan first, then Mom again, then Aunt Linda. Even Cousin Rachel, who hadn't said boo to me in 3 years, suddenly wanted to catch up over coffee. Yeah, right. I didn't play ball, though. Instead, I forwarded everything to the Boston firm managing the trust and asked them to start a compliance review. I wanted a paper trail, something official. I wasn't out to ruin Nathan, but if he was going to use Grandpa's money, it was going to be by the book. And I wasn't about to be sweet-talked out of making sure of it. The trust wasn't just a family piggy bank. Grandpa set it up to support, not enable. And enabling was something my family had become way too good at. I started hearing whispers from my old hometown. My childhood buddy Daniel, who still worked at the local credit union, pinged me. Hey, just FYI, heard your brother's expansion got delayed. He's blaming funding issues. You good? I told him I was fine. Better than fine, actually, because, for the first time in years, I wasn't just in the background anymore. I was in charge. A week later, the fallout began. Nathan showed up at my apartment again, but this time I didn't even open the door. He knocked once, twice, then a third time. I stood behind the peephole, arms crossed, feeling calm. I know you're in there, he muttered. Come on, Jordan, don't do this. He paused, then added, you were going to tank everything over a party? I had a quiet chuckle to myself because he still didn't get it. This was never just about the party. It was about all those times I was subtly left out, like birthday dinners I never got an invite to, or finding out about family trips only through Instagram. Conversations where I was talked over, or jokes made at my expense that no one thought twice about. The party wasn't the start of it, it was just the tipping point. I watched through the peephole as he stood there for a bit, then eventually left. No voicemail, no sorry, just silence. But then, surprise. Ashley texted me. I almost didn't recognize her number. Her message was short and kind. Hey Jordan, I know things have been tense. Would you be open to meeting, just the two of us? I pondered over it for a while. I didn't know her anything, but the message intrigued me. It didn't feel fake, it felt weary. We met at a cozy tea shop near my place. She was already there when I arrived, in jeans and a sweater, not a hint of her usual socialite vibe. Thanks for coming, she said genuinely. I sat down, still on guard. What did you want to talk about? She sighed. I'm not here for money or to pressure you about the trust. I just wanted to apologize. I wasn't expecting that. She looked down at her cup and said, I didn't handle the party well. I should have made sure you had a proper seat. Not just because Nathan asked me to, but because you deserved it. I didn't say anything, just listened. She guessed I didn't care and figured I didn't like big events. Nathan often said I was fine being left alone, but seeing me leave apparently made her realize they might have misunderstood me. I asked, so you didn't want me there? She looked embarrassed. No, not because of you, but because I didn't know you. Nathan talked about you like you were this unpredictable wild card. He made it seem like you'd either not show or stir up drama. That wasn't fair. I sighed. I didn't cause drama. I just left, she agreed softly. I know. And that was worse than if you'd made a scene. That surprised me. She continued, you walking out quietly made people ask questions, why you didn't stay, why there wasn't a seat for you, why there weren't photos of you with Nathan. Even my parents and friends noticed. It was a bad look. I crossed my arms, so now I'm a PR issue. She shook her head, no, you're a reality check. We sat in silence for a bit, then she said something unexpected. I want to make things right, not about the trust or Nathan, just this. I stayed quiet, still processing. You shouldn't be treated like a second-class relative, she added, especially when we didn't realize how much you've been handling. I didn't agree to anything, but I thanked her for being honest and left thinking maybe I wasn't the one who needed fixing after all. The next day, Nathan called again. This time, I answered. Hey, he said, sounding tired, not angry or smug, just exhausted. Hey. There was a long pause. Ashley said she talked to you. She did. I'm not great at this, he admitted. I know I've messed up a lot. I didn't reply. I've been thinking about how I've treated you, how we all have. I always assumed you were fine on your own, didn't want to be included, so I didn't try. Didn't invite you, didn't think much of it. That's convenient, I replied. Easier to think someone doesn't want to be included than to admit you've shut them out. He was silent, I heard him exhale. You're right. Another pause. I'm not asking you to approve the funds anymore. I just want to talk, maybe have lunch, just you and me. No pressure. I didn't answer right away because, for the first time, he wasn't demanding or defending. He was just showing up, and maybe that was a start. But I wasn't ready to lower my guard just yet. This was the same brother who'd made me feel invisible at his celebration, the same one who only noticed me when the money stopped. Now, the real test was whether he cared about me or just what I could offer. The next move was mine, and I had an idea. I didn't say yes to lunch immediately. I told Nathan I'd think about it. And I meant it because words are easy, some apologies, some "we missed you" comments, and everyone thinks things are fixed. But I wasn't after a clean slate. I wanted something real, and real takes time, it takes actions. So I'll keep thinking because this isn't just a decision. It's a decision to let someone in, and that's not something I'll rush into this time. After a few days turned into a week, I was a bit surprised that Nathan hadn't called or left any anxious voicemails. It was strangely calm. I started thinking maybe he'd just taken my silence as a hint and moved on. But then, out of the blue, I got a surprise, a real letter, not some email or text. It was handwritten and 3 pages long, straight from Nathan. So there I was, sipping my morning coffee at the kitchen table, reading his letter twice over. Sure, it wasn't flawless. Some parts felt like he was still trying to make excuses for his silence and shutting me out over the years, but in the mess of words, there was something real. Nathan talked about feeling the pressure of stepping into Dad's shoes at the family business. He explained how Mom leaned on him, thinking he was the good, dependable son, and how he envied my ability to walk away from it all. He confessed, "I told myself you didn't care because it was easier than admitting I did. I saw you living life on your own terms, and instead of learning from you, I judged you." That really hit home for me. Nathan ended his letter saying, "If you don't want to talk to me again, I get it. But if there's even a tiny part of you that wants to try rebuilding something, I'm here." Those words, "I'm here," didn't magically fix everything, but they meant a lot. So, I agreed to meet him for lunch. We met at this small diner we used to hang out at as kids. Obviously, he picked it on purpose. Nathan was already there when I arrived, nervously sipping black coffee. It was a weird nostalgic moment, sitting across from him in that old diner booth, with the smell of pancakes and bacon hanging in the air, like we'd stepped back in time. Except, everything was different now. We started off chatting about silly stuff, like how the diner still had the same old jukebox, Dad still refusing to upgrade his phone, and Rachel's recent attempt to go viral on TikTok with a video of her dog in sunglasses. We laughed, and it felt genuine. Then eventually, our conversation got real. Nathan asked about my writing, my travels, and the relationship I'd just gotten out of. I asked him about his work, about Ashley, and if he was truly happy or just doing what was expected. He hesitated and said, "I don't know." That admission showed me he was really trying. We talked for 3 hours. There was no dramatic hug or promises to stay in touch, we just said, "Let's do this again." Now, the thing with the trust wasn't over yet. Despite Nathan's effort, there were still some issues with his business proposal. The review I'd asked for uncovered a few questionable spending habits, nothing illegal, just some sloppy moves. Stuff that Grandpa definitely wouldn't have approved. When the firm asked me what I wanted to do, I realized I wasn't looking for revenge or to block Nathan, just for him to step up and take responsibility. So, I told him what the auditors found and that he had 2 options: redo the proposal with total transparency or have the funds denied. I was braced for an argument, but Nathan just said, "Fair." Then he surprised me by asking, "Will you help me fix it?" Over the next few weeks, we got stuck into it together, meetings, calls, and spreadsheets galore. I showed him the ropes on how the trust board reviews proposals and what to do and not do. It was awkward at first, but we started to click. We weren't just brothers now, we were more like teammates. Of course, word got around. Mom found out, and one Sunday she texted me out of the blue, "Dinner tonight." No explanation, no emojis, just that. I took a while to respond, finally asking, "Why?" She said, "Because I owe you an apology." I didn't go, not that night. But I didn't shut her out either. Sometimes real change takes time. Eventually, Ashley and Nathan sent out new invites to their wedding, same couple, same place, but a completely different vibe. This time, my name wasn't just on the list, it was first in line on the list of family members in the invite. Ashley even included a handwritten note saying, "We'd be honored if you came. There's a seat with your name on it, literally." And guess what? I went. The wedding was beautiful, classy, and thoughtful. When I got there, Aunt Linda was the first to greet me, looking mortified but managing a tight smile. "Jordan, so glad you could make it." "Hey, I actually made it." I grinned as her cheeks turned a little pink. "You probably didn't expect me to show up, did you?" "Well, of course, we hoped," she replied. I asked, "I've got a spot this time, right?" And walked past her to my table, number 3, which was pretty close to the dance floor. My name was etched on a fancy white card, and right beside it, a little card said, "Thank you for holding us accountable." It's funny how life works out. What started off as an insult, being invited only out of pity, changed into something else entirely. I wasn't the forgotten sibling anymore, or the outsider. I didn't need to be the center of attention, I just wanted to be acknowledged. And now I finally was. Not because I made a big fuss, but because I made a choice. I chose to stop apologizing for living in the shadows of those who never gave me any light. I chose to stop letting guilt push my boundaries. I decided to speak up, to leave when I needed to, and return on my own terms when I was ready. Because sometimes the quietest goodbyes leave the loudest echoes. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real life stories happening around you.